morning and welcome back to the farm. It is a beautiful day here on the farm, thankfully. It was so cold last night I had to put an extra blanket on, and I overslept because I was able to sleep so hard because it wasn't eye-meltingly hot. This is the weather I like. Mid-70s, not too humid, just beautiful. Today's big project is the last bit of work for the chickens. They've been in their coop for almost 3 days now. So should have bonded to the coop as their home. So now I can start letting them out. Now I'm not going to let them out to run willy-nilly anymore. So I have 200 yards of fencing that I'm going to put around that big weed patch there and then out towards the garden. But if anything's in contact with the fence, it's going to ground the electricity, which is going to make the fence useless, at least for keeping predators out. Keeping the chickens in, the width of the spacing on the mesh should keep them in. But for keeping predators out, I need the electricity. But if any of those weeds come in contact with that net, it's going to ground it out. I think I still have some shrubs and trees in a nursery bed that was in this edge of what's now this huge weed patch. And I do want to keep those if I can. I've got some chestnut trees that I want to put up along the road. I've got some willow trees that I wanted to put in the lower pasture, and I've got some currants. The currants I was going to put in the front orchard as support species for those apple trees, but I'm thinking I might put them either in or around the chicken run. A, it will start to provide shade, and B, if I plant it right, they can't get all of the currants, but they can have some of the currants, which I would love for them to have that variety in their diet. But I can't do any of that until I get some of that mess cleaned up, at least enough that I can put the fencing through that area. So that's today's project, is getting that done. I'll start working on that at lunchtime, and if I have enough time, maybe I'll be able to cut the door and let the girls out. I probably won't do that till tomorrow morning, but we'll see what the day brings. I forgot today was shed day. I was sitting and working at my desk eating my breakfast, and suddenly I heard heavy machinery out in the street, and I realized, oh yeah, the shed was coming this morning. So they came, and as you saw, they got it out on site, and it looks beautiful. I almost have an actual farmyard. One of the core memories I have from my childhood was a family friend's farm. And they had the farmhouse, a shed, 2 barns, like horse stalls, a goat stall or a goat barn, and a chicken coop, all in a square around their barnyard. And it's the only actual barnyard I've ever seen. And that's always been in my head as something that I wanted. Now, this is nowhere near on that scale, but it's cozy and it fits my farm, and I'm very happy with it. So let me show you the shed. This shed is 10 by 20 feet. So I have lots of room for storing the knickknacks and all of the useful things that I need to have, but that I don't need to have in the house. So this end of the barn is going to be for the animals. I'm going to set this side up with my chicken supplies. So everything that I've been putting in the rabbitry, I'll end up moving in here. So that's the sawdust for the run, or for the coop. Their feed, I'm going to put a couple of feed buckets here that will keep rodents out. Any electric fencing that I don't use, any extra waterers, things like that. The brooder, all that will live here. This corner is going to be for my bee supplies. So my basket that I take with me every time I go out to the hive, my fuel for the smoker, the extra hive bodies and frames that I have in the basement and scattered all over the yard apparently, all that will be organized here. The other end, this end is for equipment. So all of my non-garden yard tools will go here. The salt, the snow shovels will all live here in the summer. I would really like to put some kind of a workbench along the back there. So when I have construction projects, those I can do out here and not make a mess in my house. If I get a pair of sawhorses, they'll live here. Most of my power tools, probably except for my drills, will live out here, all that sort of thing. Eventually, I would like to get electricity out here, but I don't want to run it from the house. I would rather put a couple of solar panels up on the roof and have storage batteries for that here. That's not a this year project, that's a somewhere down the road project. If anybody wants to sponsor me and pay for my solar panels, let me know, we'll talk, because I'm down. And then anything else along those lines, like the extra linoleum, I'm gonna put a couple extra boards on the rafters here, and then I can store things like long boards and that leftover linoleum and anything like that that I might want to use at some point, but I don't want in my way. I can put that here. And then we have the outside of the shed, which is lovely. There's not a lot going on with it right now, and that's fine. I have a couple of metal, like porch railing baskets in the shed that I think I'm going to put on these windows, and I may put one on the side of the chicken coop and on the side of the shed here, just to kind of tie the whole space together. All of this stone is rock solid, so I can't really, I was thinking I'd put mulch and compost down and start growing into it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think anything will grow there. So, but I can put planters here. This front side is gonna get shade most of the day, so there's not a whole lot I'm gonna be able to do here, which is fine. I don't necessarily need that. The ends kind of slope down in a way, which that's good, but it might be good to set this up as wood storage if I decide I don't want to keep doing the Norwegian, the round wood pile, which I need to get covered again once it dries out a little bit. And then eventually I would like to go around the back. Oof. And sink some footers down that way, run some kind of a deck out, and turn this into a more greenhouse space if I decide I need more greenhouse space, because this is going to get direct sun all winter. So it'll be great for wintering over any of my fragiles like the figs and anything like that would do very well on this side of the shed. So, but that's obviously not a this year project. It's probably not a that next year project. It's maybe a 5-year project. But for now, I at least can get all the stuff off my porch, all the stuff out of my studio that's not fiber arts. I can start organizing my bee gear. I am so happy that I have my shed. Up doing more work than I needed to, because once I started getting through this, and I had to use the clippers because the wild amaranth and the asters and especially the thistle, the stalks were just too thick. The weed whacker just could not handle it. So I just went through and cut it all down low and then cleaned it up a little bit. And as I did so, I found my missing trees. So my chestnuts are here, my willows are right there, and down on the end, I don't think you can see them real well from here. Let's go over here. Here behind this thistle with the scallopy edges, that's my hazelnut. And back over, let's see, here with the 3-lobed scallopy leaves, those are my currants. So I found all my trees. Yay, good stuff. And as I found them, I realized I could kind of work the fence around them so I didn't have to worry so much about these weeds coming in contact with the fence and grounding it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the back corner of the coop, come through the open grass to the corner there, down along here in the grass until just before those chestnut trees. And then I'm going to cut into where I cleaned up, come through down here, and I may cut out a space to put the fence around the currants. I may not. I may just dig those currants out. And then, so then the fence will just come through to about here, and then go straight up to the side of the creek, and to the side of the creek up there, and then along the edge, and then back by the door, excuse me, to the coop. assuming I have enough fencing. How far out that way it goes will depend on the amount of fencing. Yes, I could take a tape measure and measure it out. If you've been watching me for any length of time, you know that is not how I do anything. So we're just going to start laying out fence and see how far it goes. After work, I have to get back inside. But I'm very pleased with how this has come out. This structure here, this area was originally a goat run. And theoretically, the previous owners were going to clear this out and reseed it for me. They never got around to it. And when I was trying to decide where to put the chicken coop, I was thinking about putting it up along the creek. But then I realized I've got this rocky, dirty, weedy area that I can't do anything with. So why don't I just turn that into the chicken run? And this was a climbing structure for the goats. And I bought pry bars and everything to dismantle it, figuring maybe there's some wood or something that I could salvage out of it. But now I'm thinking I'm just going to leave it. And in fact, I might even put a tarp over the top. That will give the chickens some shelter. Because again, right now there's no trees here. I'm going to plant a couple of things to start giving them some shade and hopefully us some fruit. But for right now, they don't have anything. So if they can just go under here, A, they can get away from predators. So if a hawk goes by or whatever, they can go hide under there. And it gives them some shade. I may try and turn it, not right away because of all the weeds. Now, why aren't I carting all the weeds away? Well, because the chickens are going to take care of that for me. They're going to eat all the seeds off this amaranth. They're going to eat down anything that's green. They're going to get all the slugs that are on everything. So by the time September, October rolls around, this is probably going to be mostly clear. So work smarter, not harder, right? It gives the chickens something to do. It gives them food. It starts building up the organic matter in the soil here. So there's no point in getting rid of it. And even if it resprouts, if the amaranth resprouts, that's fine. That's more food for the chickens. So again, I'm not even going to sweat it. I'm just going to leave it there and let the chickens take care of it. Fencing next. that's a big run. I was worried that my spatial relations being what they are, that this actually wasn't going to be as much space as I hoped it was going to be. But I think this is good. I mean, it's 20 chickens, so they need quite a bit of space. But even so, I think this is going to be plenty for them. So tomorrow morning, I'll cut their door and put their ramp up, and off they go to check out the world. Or what's going to be their world now. I like this gate because it makes it easier for me to get in and out. And it's all connected here. And I got to find out what this clip is for. I'm sure it's for grounding something, but I'm not sure where. Now both end posts kind of lean. Hello. Kind of lean away from the shed. So I'm going to run out to the hardware store and get some strapping and just bolt it to the shed. So that'll keep that tight and keep anything bigger than insects from getting in between. And I think, aside from figuring out the charger, this is set. Now, I'm not too worried about the charger right away. I'll worry about that tomorrow. A, it's got to charge up. And B, it's going to take the predators a couple of days to figure out what's going on here. So I've got a little bit of time. Not a lot. I don't want it to take more than the weekend. And I also need to get the door, the automatic door charged for them. But so now I just need to clean up, and I'm gonna call it a night. I'm so happy with how today went in so many ways. The shed, the fence, just everything. I'm so happy. It's nice. I'm making progress. Of course, I still have to do that fence, but that's not today's problem. That's next week's problem, because I don't think I'm going to do it this weekend either. But I will see you tomorrow.